the legendary broadcaster. He's Jimmy Brockmire, good friends with Hank Azaria, and we thought it would be fun to have him on. He did give us a celebrity bracket, but known as a baseball guy. And Jim Brockmire joining us on the program. Have you ever called a college basketball game there, Jimmy?
I did. Very early in my career, I called games for the basketball program at the Art Institute of Kansas City. Very, very bad team, filled with performance artists and interpretive dancers and mimes. Very frustrating because they could do very impressive physical feats, but they had no clue how to play basketball. It was like watching a bizarro version of the Harlem Globetrotters. But the mimes are very good at boxing people out, Dan. You see what I did there with the boxing? You see that?
See what you did there, Jimmy. You set them up, you knock them down.
Yeah, I went old school with you on that one.
I don't know why I always want to imitate your voice when I'm talking to you. You have that unique delivery, and I always want to get into Jimmy Brockmire. Maybe it was when I was a kid growing up listening to you, and maybe, I don't know, maybe tried to emulate you a little bit.
It gets in there, doesn't it? It's like I'm like your Jiminy Cricket. I'm like the voice of your conscience. It's like embedded.
Would you rather go out for beers with Vin Scully or the late Harry Carey?
Oh, what a wonderful question. I mean, I've been with both. The obvious answer is Harry Carey. I'm going to say Vin Scully because here's the thing about Vin. He does not go out for beers. He goes out for a beer. And then, at least this was true in the 80s when I went out with him, without telling anybody, Dan. He likes to drop acid, and it turns into a crazy evening. I mean, if you think hearing Vin Scully call a baseball game is perfection, just wait till you hear him narrate his own mental journey into the fourth dimension. It remains one of my most treasured memories as a baseball announcer is watching a shirtless Vin Scully describe the eye of God in the Chavez Ravine parking lot while trying to ride a coyote like a horse, which he did do.
It's a good thing there wasn't social media back then.
Yeah, it would have been. I never would have filmed him. Well, actually, I probably would have and posted.
I mean, it's a strong accusation there, what you just made.
It's not an accusation. It's a celebration.
Oh,
that's what it is.
How many plaid jackets do you have?
I have two. This was the original. This was $18, and then they made another one for me because it got a little seedy and smelly.
Yeah.
So I had to have another go-to. Yeah.
When people see you on the street, what do they say to you?
Well, they usually avoid eye contact with me. Several of them I've had run-ins with. Often, I never know who I'm. So much of my life has been blacked out that I never know. I have people coming up to me accusing me of stuff, and I used to take umbrage, and now I realize they're probably right. I probably did do that. So. But, they say, hey, aren't you that guy? And I say, oh, I'm wanted in several states. So you probably have seen my picture at the post office.
When did drinking on the air start?
I think it's as old as time, isn't it? I mean, for me, right from the beginning. I mean, I was the youngest youngest person to ever call a professional baseball game. I was 21 years old. And I started right in. I learned from the best. I didn't know that you could call a game without it. I didn't know that was possible.
Is it so you can it makes baseball tolerable if you've been drinking?
I mean, I guess Joe Buck just recently shared.
Yes, he did.
That he and Troy like to have a couple. I don't know about football, but baseball, man, you got to fill a lot of time with a lot of words, Dan Patrick. I mean, it does make it a lot easier. I mean, there's a reason why fans enjoy beer at the game. It's no different from the announcers. I mean, you got to get through that thing somehow.
Are you okay with implementing digital strike zone? They're going to do that in the minor leagues, but and then I guess see how that works and bring it into the majors?
Yeah, I've accepted. I don't know if I'm okay with it. I've accepted it as inevitable. I have a tinge of disappointment about it because I do love the uncertainty of the human umpire. I mean, there's nothing like being in a stadium packed full of people waiting anxiously to hear the opinion of an out-of-shape middle-aged man. It's an experience you usually only get at baseball games and at the Republican National Convention. But I hope the digital strike zones do have some variability. Keep a little of that human umpire craziness. Like every April Fool's Day, I'd love it if there's a knob they can turn that sets the machine to like Angel Hernandez or something. I'm going to miss seeing managers argue with these guys. I think at the very least, they should allow teams to have a robot assistant coach one that's programmed to fight with the umpire, like a tiny little one with a Chicago White Sox hat on, a little Tony La Roomba, and he can roll out there and yell the F word and spray dust on home plate or something.
He's the legendary Jim Brockmire, the minor league baseball play-by-play voice. Best advice that you give to those that would like to try to succeed in this field, what would it be?
Boy, usually I discourage them, both out of sympathy for them, trying to save them and their parents a lot of heartache, but also jealousy. Like I try to cut young people off at the knees, Dan, because I don't want to deal with them. I know these millennials are getting in my face, you know what I mean? And so I don't offer too much encouragement. I try to intimidate them and discourage them.
Where are you working this spring or this summer?
I'm currently between. I have a new that's a nice segue. I have a new podcast coming out.
A Jim Brockmire podcast. Wait, so you're not doing baseball?
Well, no, taking a little break between jobs. Don't want to go into why I got fired from the last one, but
so this is you're between jobs, not by your doing.
It's never by my own doing, Dan. No, they
well, you may have done it, but you're in between jobs because somebody's not going to hire you.
Yeah, or they just. I'm between jobs, as we like to say. But saw an opportunity for this podcast thing.
Okay.
They had to have a young person come to me and explain the difference between a radio show and a podcast. And several hours later, I still did not understand, but apparently I agreed to do it. Pretty sure I was blackout drunk for that too. Do you know? What's the difference, Dan, between a radio show and a podcast? Is there any difference?
No commercial breaks during a podcast.
Oh, okay. See, I just thought it was one of these modern term things, like they like to do. Like it's not a snowstorm; it's a polar vortex. Not a vegetable; it's plant-based. You know, it's not a radio show; it's a podcast.
Well, podcast can go as long as you want it to go. Radio, it's like podcast is an extra inning game. Who knows how long it's going to go?
Thank you for putting into terms I can understand.
Yeah.
By the way, the top of your head looks nice. Your cranial sprouts. Do we still call it hair, or do I have to say cranial sprouts now?
You can call it hair.
I can. Okay.
Yeah.
Are shoes still shoes? They're not foot impact reduction?
No, I think they're shoes.
Okay, great. All right, so podcast. All right.
Yeah, I don't want you to adapt to today. I want you to continue to be you from yesterday.
I agree, but these kids today make it harder and harder.
No, you be you, Jim.
All right, I'm going to take that with me. And into my next job, when I'm lucky enough to get hired, I'm going to take that advice with me.
How's your love life, by the
way? Disturbing, as usual.
In between women?
Quite literally. Like, you can't see it.
Wait, there are two women in there?
Yeah, on either side.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like those TV shows from the 70s. Used to love that. That cliche from TV shows. And guys would walk in with two babes on their arms.
Yeah.
I never saw that in real life. Did you?
No. I didn't. I'm still looking for it, but no, I've not seen it. Like I Dream a Genie is not real.
No, pretty sure that was not a documentary.
No, it was not. So you're in the bracket challenge.
Apparently, you guys asked me to do it, so I did it. Yeah.
And do you have any idea what you're doing?
Well, I tell you, you asked me to do it, so I tried to take it seriously. I stared at this bracket for like 15 minutes, mostly just trying to work up some way to care about it. Couldn't do that, failed at that. But, under normal circumstances, I find it, who cares? But this year, it's really weird. I think it's strange. We've trapped a bunch of college students in a hotel for our amusement. Sounds more like the premise of a pornographic film, but, I did the bracket. So my process was, I started by writing two of the final four. At Oral Roberts and Morehead State. I know that's immature, don't care. Work backwards from that. In the Midwest, I have Loyola Chicago getting knocked out in the first round. Apologies to Sister Jean. And I wasn't allowed to write this in the prediction, but I believe that due to a combination of COVID-19 and the power of Sister Jean's Christian prayer, Loyola Chicago will rise again in the third round like Jesus, but then lose again immediately to Illinois. So.
Never grow up, Jimmy, okay?
I will not. I will not grow up.
And I wish you well with that podcast there, and I hope to talk to you soon.
It's coming out in April. Charles Barkley's our first guest. I hope you will join us, and we're going to have luminaries from the world of sports.
Is there alcohol involved?
Of course.
Then I'll do it.
Just by showing up. I
Yeah.
mean, my blood alcohol level. You could probably just breathe near me and you'll get nice and wasted.
Jimmy Brockmire. Jim, thanks for entering the bracket challenge, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Dan Patrick. Always a pleasure.
Jimmy Brockmire. Not sure I believe all the stories that he tells, but he tells it in a unique way.